Hello New World, and welcome to Ayoub's Worm Guide. In this video, I'll cover everything you need to know about the Worm Raid, also known as Trial of the Devourer. This raid may sound intimidating, but it's not as difficult as it seems. However, it does require good coordination and communication. During the raid, there's usually a player designated as the shot caller who will give commands and call out important stuff throughout the game, and it's very crucial to listen to him. And since in-game voice chat is not reliable, I highly recommend that all players join the same voice channel on your preferred platform. My personal choice, as always, is Discord, which has worked very well for us from the start. The Worm is a 20-player raid located in Brimstone Sands. The fastest way to reach it is from the Worm Sign Obelisk Shrine. You can either enter through the arena entrance or simply open the raid directly from your map. Players do not need to be physically near the arena to enter. Just press escape, activities, go to elite trials, and hit the button to enter. The minimum requirements to enter the raid is 12 players, but this is no easy feat to accomplish, so you will need to fill the raid with 20 players before attempting to take on the Worm. This ensures you have enough firepower for the fight. Before entering the raid, there are some important preparations to make. First, don't forget to pick up the quest from Phaedra Canilus, who's always standing next to the shrine. While the rewards aren't huge, it's a repeatable quest that you can complete multiple times, so it's worth grabbing. Next is trophies. There are 3 types of trophies that you can place in your house: minor, basic, and major. Each type gives you an additional damage against their corresponding enemy type. Minor trophies give you 3% extra damage, basic trophies provide 4%, and major trophies offer the highest bonus of 5% extra damage. The enemies you will face in the raid include the Worm Boss, a beast-type creature, and the Angry Earth-spawned enemies, so for this you will need 3 wildlife trophies, which boost your damage against beasts, and 3 Angry Earth trophies. You need to place 1 in each of your houses to get a maximum of 15% extra damage against these enemy types. Now let's talk about the consumables that you'll need to bring with you for the raid. You will need Beast Ward Potions. These reduce the damage from beast enemies by 10%. Beast Coatings, they increase your damage against beasts by 15%. Powerful Honing Stones, which provide a 7% weapon damage increase. Inside the raid, you'll also be affected by Acid Burn, so you need to bring Powerful Incense, which increases your resistance to all afflictions by 50. Make sure you bring the appropriate attribute food based on your role in the raid to maximize your damage. Finally, make sure you have Acid Tinctures and the Stalwart Heartrune of Firestorm. We will come to these later during this video. Once you enter the raid, you'll be teleported to the arena's starting platform. Before you go down, make sure you have all your correct gear equipped and buff up with your consumables. The reason for that is simple. Once you step down into the arena, you'll be in combat for the entirety of the raid, and you will not be able to respec or change weapons. You'll notice the objective Clear the Arena. Now let's dive in. As soon as you go down into the arena, you'll face a group of enemies. This will consist of scorpions and 1 big enemy with a sword and a spherical shield around. There will also be a large drum in the middle of the arena, which will be marked as locked when you get close to it. The scorpions are relatively easy to handle, but you'll notice that the big guy, named Worm Sign Nephilim, or just Nephilim for short, isn't taking much damage, and his stamina bar is barely affected. This is where the first mechanic comes into play. Look around and you'll see 4 platforms with buttons on them. At first, these buttons will do nothing when you stand on them, so you'll need 4 players to step on each button at the same time. These players will be called lights. Once all 4 players are on the respective buttons, the platforms will activate and you will see 2 colors, red and blue. So which one should you pick? Under each platform is the color you need to press, but you cannot see it directly. There's an invisible barrier that blocks the color from view when you are standing inside it. When I move away from the platform, I can clearly see the colors, but when I step closer, the color disappears. This is where the shot caller will guide the light players and tell them which colors to press. For example, if the shot caller says blue, blue, red, blue, each player on the platform needs to press their corresponding color. If any player presses the wrong color, the platform becomes lethal for 3 seconds and anyone standing on it will be killed. If executed correctly, all the players in the raid will receive a shield breaker buff, which will allow you to break the Nephilim's stamina and kill him. Once the Nephilim is dead, he will drop his sword, and players in the raid will need to interact with this sword to pick it up to gain another buff. This one provides resistance to siege damage, which the worm continuously applies to melee players. It also makes attackers apply a rend stack for a total of 25 stacks. This will be essential to maximize your damage, but make sure to pick up the sword once. Other players in the raid need to pick it up, and they are not infinite, so do not spam it. After this, 3 players will need to interact with the drum to summon the worm. Afterward, the boss will enter the arena and burst up from underground, knocking players down. This is Shah Nishan the Devourer, aka the Worm Boss. He's a towering figure and wields a variety of powerful attacks, but remains mostly stationary in the center of the arena. His midsection does not move, which makes it the only spot for melee players to focus their attacks. As with any raid, you'll need the typical roles: tanks, damage dealers, and healers, but this raid has an unconventional strategy that requires a light-equipped ranged tank. This tank will take aggro from the boss and stand at a distance, forcing the worm to direct its attacks away from the melee players. Melee players will focus on attacking the boss's body in the middle of the arena, and ranged players will be positioned on the top platform, shooting the boss and managing the mechanics from above. The worm has multiple attacks that he alternates between randomly with no specific order. These attacks are Acid Balls. The worm raises his head, looks to the sky, and spits out large acid balls that scatter and fall down all over the arena. These balls cause a lot of damage and leave behind acid puddles. The worm will perform this attack in 3 consecutive waves. Ranged players need to shoot and destroy these acid balls before they land, preventing them from dealing massive damage and possibly killing players. Acid Trail. The boss will pick the player with aggro, which is usually the tank. You'll see a red marker above the player's head, along with a preview of an acid trail from the boss to the player. The worm then spews acid along the trail, and this is a slow-moving attack which is easy to avoid, but it can cause significant damage and kill you if you do not stay clear. Acid Spits. The worm spits acid in 3 directions centered around the tank. You'll usually see either 1 or 3 spits in a row. These spits cause considerable damage and increase your acid infliction, possibly leading to death, so dodge quickly as soon as the worm spits to avoid taking the damage. So far, these attacks are all aimed at the ranged players, and melee players do not have to worry about them at all. All they have to do is do their role and attack the boss. The attack that the melee players need to be aware of is the melee attack. The boss performs 2 consecutive melee attacks, one on each side, where he bites everyone in the area and leaves behind an acid puddle. This attack is lethal and it will kill you, but the way to counter it is by holding block to mitigate the damage. By blocking, the boss will break your stamina and the acid puddle under you will inflict acid burn. This is where players with the Stalwart Heart rune of Firestorm will need to use it to cleanse those acid burns from the player in its path. You can also use an acid tincture here if you weren't cleansed with the fire kick. Enemy Spawn. The worm will occasionally summon mobs consisting of 2 Nephilim, scorpions, and angry earth adds. These adds can be either melee or ranged mages, and the spawn is totally random. These mobs will move towards the melee players, attacking the ones hitting the boss. Light players will need to complete their light mechanics to gain the shield breaker buff, which will allow the melee players to kill the adds, and specifically speaking, the Nephilim. Afterward, they need to pick up the sword to apply rend and do more damage to the worm. Melee adds are not an issue, however, the ranged players need to take care of the mages in case they spawn. Once you take out 30% of the boss's HP, he will disappear underground and the scorpion phase will begin. The boss will cover the entire upper platform with lethal acid before disappearing underground, so all players need to move to the lower level at this point. Scorpion phase. In this phase, 2 large scorpions will spawn, one from each cave on the sides of the arena. These scorpions will grow bigger and stronger the closer they are to each other. Therefore, you must split them and kill them separately to prevent them from becoming too powerful. However, it's not that simple. During this phase, the boss will continue to attack from underground. He will pick a random player and target them with a big acid circle on the ground. Players inside this circle need to dodge out immediately, as the boss will lunge upwards and kill anyone inside the circle, and leaving behind an acid puddle. These puddles are deadly, so avoid walking into them to prevent acid burn or instant death. The boss will continue attacking in this manner until everyone dies or the scorpions are killed. If someone dies during this phase, do not revive them. Focus on killing the scorpions and you can revive them later after the next phase. Make sure you avoid standing near the stairs, as you do not want any acid puddles over there, as you will be using them shortly after. Once both scorpions are dead, the upper platform will be cleared of acid clouds, but the lower platform will be covered with them. At this point, everyone needs to move upstairs to stay alive. The boss will then respawn in his usual position, but this time with a stamina bar. Alongside him, small scorpions will spawn and head towards you. To deal with the boss, you need to complete the lights mechanic again, and then ranged players should use heavy attacks to break the boss's stamina bar. After the stamina bar appears, you'll start receiving acid infliction and taking damage. To cleanse this, you can use an acid tincture or the fire kick heart rune to cleanse yourself or anyone around you. Acid burn causes significant damage over time, and the boss's attacks are lethal to anyone inflicted with it. A single acid spit will instantly kill you if you are affected. During this phase, the boss will alternate between acid spit attacks and the acid trail attack, and once the stamina bar is broken, melee players can return to the lower platform to attack the boss once again. And this is when you can revive downed players. This phase is similar to phase 1, but with one added mechanic, the heavy slam. The boss performs a heavy body sweep across the arena, dealing massive damage. Players close to the boss won't get hit, but anyone farther away will take significant damage. The upper platform is safe from this attack. If you are in the middle of reviving somebody and the boss performs it, it is possible to dodge this attack once you get the timing right. So be alert and prepare to dodge. This phase will continue like the previous one until another 30% HP is taken from the boss, at which point you'll return to another scorpion phase. After you break the boss's stamina for the second time, a new mechanic will be introduced, which is mines. The boss will go underground once again and then plunge back up, launching rocks all over the arena. These rocks are mineable like any other node in the game, but they will explode after a short time, causing damage and stunning everyone in the arena. Players need to move quickly to mine all of the rocks, as they'll only be safe for a limited time before they explode. And it's important to be careful when mining, as the heavy body slam attack can still happen and it can kill you instantly, making you fail the mining and causing an explosion which will possibly kill or damage your mates. Once all mines are collected, players can return to attacking the boss with the same attack pattern as before, including the heavy slam and mines. After you take another 30% of the boss's health, you will return to the scorpion phase and then the stamina break phase. In the final phase, the fight will mirror what you've already experienced in the previous phases, with the addition of mines and the heavy slam attack. When you finally break through the last bit of health and kill the boss, be prepared for the dramatic ending of Shah Nishan, the drama queen. It is important to know that during the raid you can only be revived once. Dying a second time will result in a wipe and you won't be able to rejoin until the whole raid wipes or finishes the boss. In case you are wiped, you will respawn on the starting platform. Make sure you move because the AFK timers are very short and you will get kicked from the raid after 2 minutes. As of Season 6, the rewards for this raid include 700 to 710 gear score items. You can also get minor sandworm spoils once per day and major sandworm spoils once per week. These have a chance to drop named raid-only items that can be upgraded to gear score 7 to 5, with the major chest having a higher chance of dropping them. You can also earn the Devourer heart rune from the weekly chest, which is a guaranteed drop. I hope this video was helpful. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you're notified of upcoming guides. Let me know what you'd like me to cover next in the comments. IchBinAyoub.